When criminals face the sentences for their crimes, they react differently. Some are genuinely sorry for their actions. Others confirm that they are evil, pathetic people. And others fight back. The following are among the most shocking moments ever witnessed in court. Turns out criminals aren't the only ones who love to cause a scene. Welcome to the Judge Murphy Hall of Justice. A former military member in the United States Army colonel with an impressive record, Judge Murphy found himself in a courtroom incident that went out of control.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat your ass.
In this incident, Judge John Murphy got into a heated argument with Assistant Public Defender Andrew Weinstock. In an attempt to free up his schedule, the judge recommended that Weinstock waive his client's rights to a fast trial. Weinstock, though, never wavered in his resolve to uphold his client's rights.
Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No, you know what? I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand and represent my clients.
The judge's and Weinstock's frustrations increased as the tensions mounted. A verbal altercation between Judge Murphy and Weinstock revealed his frustration.
You have the public defender, what do you want to do?
Have they filed?
They have.
I'm not waiving.
All right, what do you want to do?
What do you want to do? I'm not waiving. You want to set up for trial, set up for trial.
All right.
If you want to set for docket setting, set for docket setting. I'm not waiving in any case.
As the debate became unexpectedly hot, Judge Murphy even expressed his desire to physically confront Weinstock.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat your
The judge made an effort to assert his authority and to get Weinstock to sit down, but the attorney refused to back down and upheld his obligation to represent his clients. But just when you thought they couldn't get any worse, you'll be astounded by what they did next. The situation unexpectedly got out of hand. To the surprise of everyone in attendance, Judge Murphy suggested having a physical confrontation outside the courthouse. Shockingly, attorney Weinstock took him and his words, and the two men stepped outside the court. Unfortunately, the courtroom's cameras couldn't capture the visuals, but the sounds of their altercation could be heard. A deputy broke them up and put an end to the altercation. Upon Judge Murphy's return to the courtroom, a few of the defendants applauded and cheered. Notwithstanding Judge Murphy's military experience, the Florida Supreme Court found his actions during this trial to be unprofessional. Consequently, he lost his judicial duties for good. While some may attribute Judge John Murphy's actions to frustration, it pales in comparison to the unfathomable behavior of Larry Darnell Gordon. On July 11, 2016, Larry Darnell Gordon started a chain of events that took place on the third floor of the Barron County Courthouse in St. Joseph, Michigan, tragically costing several lives. Gordon faced numerous charges, including possessing weapons, child abuse, and engaging in unlawful sexual activity. These charges resulted from his relationship with a 16-year-old girl. Gordon had mistreated her and kept her imprisoned for months. Gordon, according to the girl, drugged and physically abused her while filming his despicable behavior. Gordon faced further charges for allegedly harming his ex-wife. He had a dreadful criminal record, and he was to be found guilty, would receive a life term in prison. But if you think his crimes are heinous, wait till you see how his wicked actions were in the courtroom. Following a hearing in court, a deputy sheriff led Gordon to a holding cell. Unfortunately, Gordon was not restrained by a belly chain, and his handcuffs were in the front, not the back. He grabbed an officer's gun in the blink of an eye, and you can hear a voice saying no. But Gordon wasn't in the mood to listen. He shot and injured the deputy and two bailiffs who responded to the commotion. He then absconded, briefly taking hostages in a public hallway. When bailiffs arrived, Gordon pointed his weapons at them while moving toward an unsecured stairway. The bailiffs shot him, gravely injuring him. A civilian was unintentionally shot during the altercation and sustained injuries. Sadly, the 2 bailiffs that he shot died. The other individuals he hurt recovered well from their injuries. However, it will take time for the relatives of the victims to recover from the emotional anguish and suffering his action caused them. However, while Gordon's behavior raised some eyebrows, it's nothing compared to the explosive outbursts of Judge Richard Scotti. Richard Scotti was presiding over a jury selection in a molestation case in Las Vegas.
You can't be fair and impartial to both sides. You're going to completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Jose Azucena, the perpetrator, was on trial for the horrible crime and will get a life sentence if found guilty. Azucena was charged with 40 counts, including kidnapping, lewdness, and sexual assault of children. The prosecution contended that from 2014 to 2016, he had taken advantage of his relationship as a family friend to entice and mistreat 5 young girls in his Las Vegas apartment building.
Says he took her into his apartment where he tied her up and taped her mouth shut before sexually assaulting her.
Get ready for a twist that will leave you speechless. Before the trial, Judge Scotti had to make sure that all of the members of the jury had been sworn to be impartial and fair.
So can you be fair to both sides?
However, a female member of the jury expressed her concerns about her ability to be unbiased if chosen for the jury.
I think I would be biased.
Judge Scotti lost it.
You didn't say that yesterday.
Well, I said I had
No,
other
listen,
issues.
what we're not going to have in this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking up and trying to make up now so they can get out of the jury. That's not going to happen, all right? What's going on here? Tell me what's going on.
I said I had other issues yesterday, and you said you'd get back to me.
Right, so why you got issues? Why can't you're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides? You're going to completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Your Honor, may we approach? Your
No,
Honor.
you can't approach
And subsequently dismissed her from the jury.
this jury. You're off this jury. You're removed. Go home, right?
But Judge Scotti's actions throughout the trial caused some concern, and Jose Azucena's conviction was reversed as a result of it. The panel of the Nevada Supreme Court determined that the jury panel's credibility had been compromised by the threatening atmosphere that Judge Scotti's behavior had created. The circumstances raised questions about whether Scotti's conduct had an impact on the jury's guilty decisions, despite the fact that no other jury had revealed any bias or concerns about impartiality. The court declared that Judge Scotti's threatening demeanor was improper. They decided that Jose Azucena's fresh trial was to be presided over by a different judge. However, high emotions run in court. The actions of District Judge Richard Scotti Timothy are not compared to the utter mayhem caused by Sidney Newsome in court. We're in Pike County Court for Sidney Newsome's court appearance. He's accused of domestic abuse. There's a reason he's handcuffed and in chains. Sidney appears to be pretty calm as the court proceedings begin. However, he becomes agitated when the transport officer taps on the table, presumably signaling that it's time to leave. Sidney, nevertheless, approaches his mother and brother as they enter, seemingly to have a quick conversation, but he gets a call back from the transport officer. The judge asks the family to have a seat. The judicial proceedings continue smoothly. Sidney even signs some documents as required by the judge. But Sidney bursts out of nowhere, fighting with the transport officer and the judge. Police try to take him out of the court, but he doesn't want to leave yet. Sidney becomes enraged at this. In an attempt to remove him from the room, the transport officer tries to hold him. However, Sidney gets so furious that he hurls a pile of documents from the table at the judge. Sidney then subdues the transport officer. Sidney's mother, meanwhile, breaks down in tears across the room. Sidney takes up a phone and throws it at the judge at the same moment, toppling a computer monitor in the process. Judge Rime intervenes and Newsome effortlessly pinning him to the desk by himself. It appears that this is not his first experience. Sidney's brother assists the judge in pinning Sidney. Honestly, I'm not sure if he's trying to help his brother or the judge. The scenario descends into chaos until 4 additional transport authorities arrive. While some attempt to guide Sidney out of the room, others attempt to lead Sidney's brother aside. At this point, Sidney is being tackled by 2 officers and his brother is being tackled by another 2 officers. The court is now a free-for-all battle royale. Their mother, in the meantime, is going crazy at the back. The court clerks put in a lot of effort to maintain order, gathering the misplaced documentation and replacing the computer monitor. After everything eventually calms down, the judge sentences Sidney to 48 hours in jail for an additional charge of contempt of court, where we're in the Wayne County Family Court for the hearing of Melissa Hardwick. This is Melissa Hardwick, who was accused of domestic abuse and gave a demonstration of the violence in a shocking occurrence that happened at a Kentucky family court. Following her attack on a judge during the hearing, Melissa Hardwick was now being charged with further crimes. The incident happened during a domestic abuse complaint that Hardwick's ex-husband filed, a case that was being presided over by Judge Jennifer Edwards. Tensions suddenly increased during the court when Hardwick received a 10-day sentence, which sparked an impulsive and abrupt act of hostility. Security guards moved quickly to restore order when she launched over the bench. The startling occurrence was captured on camera the entire time. Hardwick's spouse was elucidating the rationale behind lodging the complaint, but Hardwick persistently interrupted, disobeying the court's directive to keep quiet. Judge Edwards decided to impose the penalty in response to Hardwick's, which caused her to erupt in wrath and throw herself over the bench, aiming at Edwards.
Go now.
Judge Edwards was fortunately not hurt in the confrontation, but Melissa Hardwick was quickly taken down by 3 security guards, resulting in scratches to her face. Adam Dodson, a court security guard who was instrumental in keeping Hardwick restrained, expressed shock at the event and noted that, in his 3.5 years on the job, he had never witnessed
My personal life is your business. Nothing to do with
Miss Hardwick, you will be held in contempt of this court if you become disruptive.
Melissa Hardwick got a 120-day jail term for contempt of court due to her disruptive behavior. Following the event, Hardwick, a Kentucky resident, was now being charged with several offenses, including resisting arrest, intimidating a witness in a court proceeding, and first-degree terroristic threatening. A $25,000 bond was imposed on her in relation to this case. Notwithstanding the agitation she provoked, Judge Jennifer Edwards ruled to uphold the domestic violence order that Hardwick's former husband had filed. The ruling guaranteed the husband's requested protective measures would stay in place, offering the vital assistance and security he needed from Melissa. If you think she's crazy, now imagine someone that once married to her. Poor Anderson.